Guess what? The #1 requested video is on my channel. The shop tour at the Ultimate Reloader Outpost, and that's what we're going to do right here. Gavin Gear here from ultimatereloader.com. I'm going to show you my shop inside and out, and I have not even cleaned up this shop. This is exactly how it sits today and how I usually do my work. A mix of kind of a little bit of mess and clutter and a little bit of perfectionistic overkill. Okay, so these containers, there's 2 of these, are kind of the foundation. They're 40-foot high cube containers. These are 1 trippers, which means they were brand new in China. They came over hauling 1 load of cargo, and I bought them in that state. Literally, when you opened up the doors, there was new car smell inside, which I absolutely love. It's epoxy paint curing, of course. And what we did was we installed a bunch of roof trusses. And originally the trusses were just going to sit right on top of the containers, but I decided that I wanted to have a bit of extra height so I could have a 12-foot wide by 12-foot high door opening here. And these are custom welded doors. I did a quick story on this. It's not too extensive, but it kind of shows you how Eric Peterson and myself put these together. And what I love about this is I can open these up and drive the backhoe in here, and that's how I set equipment in place and do all sorts of things. I've got plywood sheeting on the outside, the exterior portions now, outside of course, exterior surfaces of the containers themselves. And what I plan to do is use kind of like roofing metal and to do siding with the roofing metal for a little bit of extra fire protection and that kind of thing. So, we've got 3 spaces, we've got the center space, and then the 2 containers. Let's go inside. So this is the main shop area. This is the primary studio facility where I'm doing my filming right now, and it's also my machine shop. Now, if we look over here, this is the inside of the doors, and I actually have a giant green screen. This is about 10 feet wide and 10 feet tall that I have in place that can be quickly taken down. This is the rack that you saw in the 14 single stage reloading press comparison video, and I plan to use it for other press comparisons and other situations where I need to film kind of, you know, with a bunch of gear behind me. I ran water into the shop. I have only cold and daylight's outside, but the reason I wanted to put water here was so that I can wash out things, wash my hands, all that. I might put in a septic system later. Don't need it for now because it's basically just shop utility. This is a nice roll-around cart that I built for all of my woodworking tools, much of which are at my upper container. It's kind of an extra facility that I have. But now I finally have all of my hand tools, woodworking tools, drill drivers, all that stuff kind of in one place. And it is on wheels, which is really nice. And I have 2 double gang power centers here so that I can have all of my chargers plugged in and charging, that kind of thing. Okay, so over here we have, this is kind of where some of my metalworking equipment is. I initially intended this to just kind of be a metal shop area, but I've kind of taken over the area with studio stuff and with some of the more precision-oriented machine tools. So some of this is going to probably go into an extra facility when I get the space to do that. And here it is. This is my 8-foot bench. This is the Ultimate Reloader bench system. This is where I do all of my primary filming right now. And yes, I do plan to make this available as a kit. Basically, you just get your dimensional lumber. These are steel tracks. The other tracks that I've seen on the market are all aluminum, and they're not true 3/4 inch high. But I have this nice bench surface. It's really nice to be able to spread out. I've got the inline fabrication ultra mounts, and they quickly attach to the bench surface here, and I can put a vise on these, I can put reloading presses on these, all of that. So I really love the way that this bench system works, and I decided to put it right in the middle of the shop so that I can have all of the great studio lighting and space to do all of the different types of filming projects, you know, that I want to do here. Okay, come back to the machine shop. This right here, this is a 1942 Kearney and Trecker 2H. And what's special about this machine is that it helped win World War II. It is a machine that was produced just before they went to the war finish, which was a kind of more primitive finish. They didn't do any of the filler on the castings or anything like that, and they made the paint more utilitarian grade, kind of almost more like primer. This was 2 months prior to that in 1942, before that went into effect. And this is a machine that I'm using to mill out the square steel tubing for the Ultimate Reloader bench system, which eventually will hit the market. Thank you for your patience with that. This is my back door. You've seen me shoot out of this into the bushes several times. If I'm fireforming brass or doing a brass torture test or other kinds of testing, it's really handy to just be able to shoot a handgun or a rifle kind of right out the back of the shop. I'm on 55 acres and I have plenty of privacy from the neighbors, so I can kind of do whatever I want, whenever I want. And that's my definition of freedom, is that kind of thing. Okay, Precision Matthews PM949 TV. This is a Bridgeport clone. It's a 9 by 49 table. It's 3 horsepower. It's variable speed. It's mechanical variable speed, kind of like the arrangement you have in a quad or a snowmobile. And I love that because it preserves the maximum torque of the motor as opposed to something like a VFD. VFDs are great, but this is a great machine, and I'll be bringing you a bunch of content on making with metal related to milling fundamentals, milling, boring, facing, stock inletting on, a rifle stock, all sorts of stuff. I use this machine for a lot of stuff, kind of all the time. Back here we've got a corner of equipment, a Grizzly metal cutting bandsaw. This I've had for years and I use pretty frequently. This Cincinnati horizontal mill was the first horizontal mill that I bought, and the seller was not really quite honest with me, so I've got quite a few repairs that I'm doing here on the machine, but I'm planning on using this for the Ultimate Reloader bench system as well, and I have some kind of creative ideas for that. If you look on Making with Metal, I've got a whole story about this Warner Swassey #2. This is a 1941 machine. This also helped to win World War II. This made parts for the war. It was in service during the war, and I bought it at an auction here locally, and I did a complete automotive style paint job on it, and you guessed it, I'm planning to use this to make parts for the Ultimate Reloader bench system as well. Let me show you my precision lathe here real quick. I really like these carts. I actually got this cart at Home Depot. This has all of kind of my tools and stuff. I've got my trucks down here and face plates and that kind of thing. These are ball bearings, which is super important. I'm going ahead and organizing the rest of my precision measurement tools here. This is the lathe, and this is a 14 by 40. It's ultra precision. It's made in Taiwan, better quality than what you'd find in China, and it's got high precision Japanese spindle bearings. I've got several videos on this lathe, and this is what I'm using to build rifles. And actually right now, it's late August 2019. I've got 4 rifle builds coming up that I will probably complete in the next month and a half, something like that. And this machine has been outstanding. I've got custom racks here that I welded and painted. I like to have all my tools right where they're at a hand's reach, but with these lips so that the tools and accessories don't fall into the moving parts of the lathe, which obviously would be, a really bad thing. So I was just making a custom Hornady OAL gauge modified case with this. I do that probably every month or so. If you don't have a lathe, trust me, you need one. Okay, let's go to the other space here. This is the original Ultimate Reloader off-site studio. I lived in the city for a long time, and I had my bench set up down here. You guys probably recognize this if you've watched the channel for very long. It was a little bit claustrophobic in here and a little bit Spartan. I really needed more room, and I wanted to provide more of a shop setting. So I moved the facility out to the center shop space, and Right now, I'm sorry about the mess here. It's kind of a staging area. I've got this is the original Ultimate Reloader bench here. This is my overflow reloading setup. I leave machines set up in here. I've got them ready to roll. If I need to use them for a feature story, I can always pop them off the inline fabrication ultra mount and kind of go back to the main room. Gun safe, totally overflowing. Don't look in there, please. And then down here, we've got the precision pistol bay for testing. I've got the ransom rest here. These are insulated intersections of the doors here. And so what I do is I just open these doors and I shoot right out at my 19-yard range. I'd like to have a 25-yard range for testing pistol, but the way the land is oriented here, 19-yard works. So I just extrapolate that out with a little bit of math when I do that kind of testing. And this is kind of the way that I've done these containers is I used 2-inch rigid foam insulation, and I've got arches on 4-foot centers, and I put the studs sideways so that they're thin profile. I put foam board between each of the arches, and this is 1/2-inch sheeting plywood. A great solution, except, and I knew this going into it, you can get an accumulation of moisture behind it from condensation. And so the right way to do this is to use the spray foam insulation, but it was going to cost about 4 times as much. And so I decided to run a dehumidifier. And so far that's been working pretty good. Follow me. Okay, I'm going to take you back through the shop space, and we're going to go into my other shipping container shop space area. And this is where I've got a number of things going on. Back here, I've got kind of a storage area. I've got my case cleaning set up over here. And my plan here is to put a sliding glass door right here and an exhaust going to the outside, and to make a Cerakote spray booth right here. And also, if I'm doing finishes on like a gun stock or something like that, I can use this whole area and have positive ventilation to the outside. I could even heat it, work with special lighting. I still need an air dryer. I'm still working on my air hosing situation and my compressor situation. It's all very low tech. There's the bear that I took last year. And this is Grandpa's workbench. My grandpa was my inspiration. He got me interested in machining. He showed me how to use a metal lathe, and he worked for Disney for something like 40 years, 45 years, and was a mechanical genius, used to make model steam engines in his spare time. So this is now my gun cleaning and kind of scope install, ad hoc gunsmithing area, and I'm still kind of getting it organized and getting everything into its right place. I really want to organize my gun cleaning stuff. Lots of work to do there. Okay, come on this way. This is extra working area and kind of laboratory stuff. I've got my Wi-Fi microscope here, extra video editing PC, precision measurement. This is the trigger scan. I just was running that on a Remington 700, 300 Remington Ultra Mag. And then we've got the video editing area here. And this is where I work at my desk. And what's really cool about this is this view. So this is what I look at when I'm working and when I'm talking on the phone with partners. And I just love being able to look up at the mountains and to be here. And it's just truly a feeling of freedom to be able to shoot guns, to do my work, to do my production, and to do it all right here. Off in the distance there, you can see the 19-yard pistol range behind the car there. That's where I shoot out with the ransom rest and do the precision pistol testing. Up on the hill, we've got 25 yards from the center of the shop here, and we've got another steel target over on the side where I just do sort of 30-foot, 50-foot shooting, that kind of thing. So up the hill, we've got the 100-yard range going across to there. You've seen a lot of stories where I've done stuff with that. And the 1,000-yard range is coming from behind my head up to the top of the hill up there. Quite a bit of hiking involved. It's pretty extreme, but that's absolutely the way I like it. I got to show you one more thing over here. This is my classic 1964 Chevrolet C60 2-ton truck. And the story here is I bought it from an orchardist for $200, and I drove it. I drove it on the highway. I drove it all through town. Needed a couple things, but it's been a really reliable runner. Just got a little bit of brake work to do it on it now, and I'll be back joyriding around town with it. But it's absolutely something that I love to drive. It kind of takes me back in time a little bit. So there's the Ultimate Reloader shop tour. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have ideas for me, if you have feedback, please drop a comment. I'd love to hear it. And I just appreciate you all for being a part of the channel. So make sure you subscribe with notifications. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hopefully I've inspired you to build your own shipping container shop. They're pretty cool. Till next time, happy shooting and happy reloading.